lagi dengan Mimin TWB. Wah, gak nyangka nih udah beberapa tahun kita gak jumpa lagi dengan project TWB ya. Oke, persembahan community project TWB Talk yang kedua akan segera tayang. Tapi sebelum itu Mimin punya pantun bentar nih. Pergi ke pasar pakai kemeja, di tengah jalan ketemu Eyang. Oke, langsung saja TWB Talk 2 with Payne sudah tayang.
Good morning for Luke and good evening for all of the participants here. And welcome to TWB Talk again. So here I will make a recording session, as usual sharing about culture, hobby, and anything else in this room. After we finish our previous recording on TWB Talk 1 with Maggie, sharing about Chinese culture, so today we will learn and share about culture with Luke Payne. So, what is the term and who is he? We can know if you all stay tuned on this video. Sharing and learning together, develop your hobby, preserve your culture. With the guest star is Luke Payne. But before we go to the sharing material, it is better to know. Okay, Luke Payne is student at Center College in Danville, Kentucky. He is interested in studying mathematics and physics and hopes to go on and pursue a PhD in physics. Outside the classroom, he is a member of Center College track and cross-country teams and is an avid hiker and skier. In 2019, he participated in the U.S. State Department NSLIY program, where he spent 6 weeks studying Bahasa Indonesia in Jakarta. So, for Luke Payne, I let you introduce yourself, then sharing your material.
Hi, thank you all for coming. Good evening, I guess, to you all. It's pretty early in the morning here, but it's a good day. So I'll be sharing a little bit about culture in the United States, and I've split it up into 2 sections. So I've got a section on a little bit about our education system here, and then we'll go more into tourism and places you can go in America. All right, so I hope you all can see that. We start school at about age 3. Their first 2 years you'll spend mostly with your parents at home, and then we'll start school at age 3 and we'll go to preschool. So typically we don't necessarily have individual buildings for preschool. We'll typically go to a church or something, and have teachers there, and we'll just get to play games. It's not a whole lot of school actual work, but you get to play games, have nap time, and just hang out with your friends. Kindergarten around age 5 is where we'll start actually going to school, learning how to read, math, all of the above. And it's, again, you'll have some of that fun game stuff that you had in preschool, but it'll be a little bit more structured, and you'll have more things, I guess, to do and activities to enhance your learning abilities. Elementary school is from around ages 6 to 11. It's one big building where you have 5 to 6 years of students in there. And everyone just learns together. You have one class that you go to all day, and you move with that class up throughout the age levels. Middle school is what everyone's probably least favorite time in school is. It's from ages 12 to 14. It's the first year. It's the first year where you're not necessarily moving with a single class. You move from one class to another by yourself. So your kids are starting to get some independence around age 12 to 14. And that moves them into high school, where students are completely independent. They get to choose what they want to study. Middle school, you don't necessarily get to choose. Your studies are planned out for you, but in high school, you get to choose. So what you enjoy, what you don't enjoy. I know I took a lot of math classes in high school because math was my thing. But a lot of other people take extra English classes or theater classes or band classes. It's up to them what they want to do. And then that transitions into college, where it's very much like your university system there. You get to choose a major and go on to study that for the rest of your life. So that's our education system in a nutshell. All right. So I don't know if you all recognize this, but if you can, does anyone recognize what city this is? So if you didn't know, this is New York City. That's a skyline picture from the top of the Empire State Building. And I wanted to talk a little bit about how New York is different from other US cities. So on the left, you can see that New York has a bunch of street art. So it's not necessarily everywhere in the city, but particularly New York is made up of 5 boroughs. So you have Manhattan, which is the one we all know, which is where that skyline picture was taken. Then you have Brooklyn, Staten Island, and Brooklyn is really known for its street art scene. So you can see that they just have a bunch of extremely talented artists that just pick a place on the wall. For the most part, it's regulated, so you're not just going to have random street art everywhere. But they build these beautiful murals, and everyone can walk by and see, and it's really interesting and different from something you'll see everywhere in the US. Of course, New York is also known for being a major port city. So the Statue of Liberty, it's probably one of the most iconic statues in the United States. Of course, that's in New York. And millions upon millions of immigrants saw the Statue of Liberty as they were coming into the US. Something else unique down there in the center right corner is the subway system in New York. There's subways in different cities throughout the United States, but the New York one is probably the oldest. It's got a unique feel. It's as you can tell from the picture, it's a lot like other trains. I rode a train in Indonesia and it was very similar to the subway, but it goes underground and you can get anywhere in the city in 30 to 40 minutes, which is really nice. And then the last one, picture there on the right, I just wanted to show you the diversity of food in New York. New York has a great food scene. And actually that is from an Indonesian restaurant there. So even though you're 10,000 miles away from Indonesia, you can still get Indonesian food in New York City, which is really cool. So this is another famous US city. This is actually our capital city. So Washington, DC. This is from the 4th of July fireworks there. 4th of July is our national holiday or national day. It's where the day that the US was founded. So we typically celebrate that with fireworks and parades. And I don't think I have a picture of a parade on there, but it's a big celebration day, and especially in Washington, DC, the nation's capital. I'll talk a little bit more about that on the next slide. So I'm sorry, this is the only picture of the White House I had that has me in it, but White House, of course, is where our president lives. It's a big old mansion. It actually has been burned down once before in 1812 in the war with the British, but now it's heavily guarded. But you can still go and see it and say you stood right on the steps of the president's house, which is really cool. We have 3 branches of government. So of course, our president is part of the executive branch, which kind of governs everything. But then we have down there in the middle left is the Capitol building. That's where our legislative branch is held. So we have Congress, which goes and makes laws, and then the president can sign our laws. So that's where Congress is held, in that building right there. And it's a really neat building. You're allowed to go inside and tour it. And you can see kind of how it was built and the different little intricacies that was important to our government back then and still is important to our government now. And then the other thing that DC is really known for is its monuments and memorials. And so there on the top right, you can see one of those memorials. That's dedicated to Abraham Lincoln, who was president during the Civil War. He was famous for freeing slaves throughout the United States. So that's one of the monuments for him. On the last slide, you saw the Washington Monument, which is probably what I think is the most famous monument in DC. It's just a big obelisk. And it can be seen from pretty much everywhere in the city. They actually have a law in DC saying that the Washington Monument has to be the tallest building. So you can't build any buildings taller than the Washington Monument. And then there on the bottom right, this isn't necessarily unique to DC, but I wanted to show anyway because it's unique to our culture, or maybe not unique to our culture, but really special to our culture. It's the game of baseball. It's played elsewhere, but I've got its origins here, and it's known as America's pastime. So basically, it's just 9 innings of a game. So each team gets 1 turn to go out and play offense, and that's 1 inning if each team gets 1 turn. So each team gets 9 turns to play offense, and basically all it is a pitcher throwing a ball at a batter, and then the person swings the bat and hits it, and you try and make it all the way around the bases. It's a lot like cricket, I think, from what I've been told, but I haven't seen much cricket, so I'm not too sure. So this is our last major city that I really wanted to talk about. And it's got that iconic Golden Gate Bridge. It's San Francisco. So I'll talk a little bit more about that too on the next slide. So San Francisco, in contrast, I guess, to the other two cities we talked about, is on the West Coast. So New York was that major port city on the East Coast for immigrants coming in. San Francisco was that major port city on the West Coast for incoming immigrants. So it's built right there on the water. It's known as the Bay Area because it and its surrounding towns are right on the edge of California. So you have San Francisco, San Jose, and Oakland that are all really, really close together. So basically, this is 3 cities in one. So it's extremely massive. But it's right there on the edge of California. And you can see from that top left picture, the skyline kind of San Francisco. Down there on the bottom left, this is one of the most iconic views in the city. It's a street that that traverses the side of the hill slope. You got houses on either side. And so cars will go down there. It's mostly tourists. I don't know that like anyone that actually lives in San Francisco will go down this street on a regular basis because it's fairly inconvenient. But you have cars lined up to go down the street and traverse the side of the hill. So San Francisco is built on a big hill, and they had to build a street like this so that cars could go up and down way back when cars didn't have as good brakes as they do now. San Francisco is also known for sourdough bread, as you can see up there in the top right. It's unique, you can form it, but it tastes really good. And I live in Kentucky, which is a long way away from San Francisco, and you can still get this kind of bread in Kentucky. It's right there on the bay. San Francisco is also a big fishing town. So they have a place called Fisherman's Wharf, where they have a whole bunch of different stores and things you can go explore in the area, which is really cool. They also have I don't have a picture of it, but they have a big chocolate store there, which is really good. And it's worth taking a visit to if you can go. So next I wanted to talk a little bit more about ecotourism in the United States. We're lucky here to have incredible natural beauty, and not all of it is national land, which is kind of cool. But this one actually is. So we have a really good national park system within the US. And this is one of those national parks. It's called Glacier National Park. It's in the far northern region, right along the border of Canada. So it's in the state of Montana, if you know where that is. And so you can see that it's made up of all these valleys. There are glaciers. You can have waterfalls running down through the glaciers, as you can see there in the middle picture. Basically, there's one road that goes all the way up to the top of the mountains, and you can just look down and see everything. And I think that's where the picture on the top left is taken from. There are also tons of lakes at Glacier. So the first one on the right there is called Avalanche Lake. I've never been there in the wintertime, but I think it's covered in snow during the wintertime, and then you can see what it looks like in the summer. It's just beautiful. You got twin waterfalls that you're looking up at, and it's a really cool hike to go up and see that. The one down on the bottom right is called Flathead Lake. They have like 3 or 4 big lakes that you can go and see. This is one of those 4. It's probably one of the least visited ones because it's pretty remote and difficult to access. But the natural beauty there is just stunning, especially on a clear day. You can just see for miles, which is really cool. So this is one of those places that's not necessarily known. Compared to Glacier, this is not a national park. Way back when, in like the early 1900s, they tried to make Lake Tahoe a national park, but the U.S. government just wasn't going to allow that because there were too many people already living there. But you can see just how beautiful it is. So it's basically just this big inland mountain lake. I think it's the 2nd largest mountain lake in the world, behind one in South America. But you can see these pictures were taken here recently in January. You can see all the snow, but you can also see the mountains around in the lake. So they have a lot of major ski resorts. This one here in the middle top was taken from Heavenly Mountain there in Lake Tahoe, and you can see the views that you can get from skiing down the mountain there. I've actually been told that the problem with skiing at Heavenly is not the difficulty of the skiing, it's the getting distracted by all the views there. And it looks to be the case. Lake Tahoe is also known for its outdoor activities. So you can see on the right there, kayaking. You can go out and kayak on Lake Tahoe. You don't really want to fall in. I think it's 39 degrees in the water, but it's a really cool thing to go out and kayak on Lake Tahoe, especially at sunset, because sunsets there are incredible. Another big thing is snowshoeing. So that's what you can see from the bottom right two pictures. You can snowshoe up. The bottom left one is from a place called Chickadee Ridge, where you could snowshoe up and then have birds land on your hands as you are sitting there watching the lake. And on the right is a place called Nice Meadow, and that's on the way over to there. It's just a big meadow. There used to be people that live there, so there are houses that you can go in and explore when you get there. But Lake Tahoe is just an amazing place to be. It's really well built up. You have a lot of stuff to do there. In the summertime, people go mountain biking, rock climbing. There's just an immense amount of things to do there, and it's, of course, one of the most beautiful places, I think, in the United States. All right, and here's the last one. I wanted to kind of give you a taste of all different parts of the U.S. So you had the north part and with Glacier, then you had about the central western part of the U.S. with Lake Tahoe, and here is something more on the East Coast. It's called Gulf Shores, Alabama. And it's unique. You have all of these beaches in Florida that people have heard about, but not as many people, I feel like, have heard about Gulf Shores, mostly because it's a state park. So the state has taken over a lot of the beach and allowed it to grow without necessarily being developed. Of course, you can see some buildings there and hotels along the side of the beach, but most of the Gulf Shores has been taken over by a state park. And so there on the left, you can see that's one of the viewpoints from one of the trails at the state park, which is really cool because you can see for miles and you don't necessarily see much of that infrastructure built up that you would see on other beaches. There in the top right and center right is the beach. You got, of course, you have pelicans and little birds that come and try and steal your food. But it's another one of those places that has immense natural beauty. You got the something that's unique to the southern United States. You got the alligators that'll roam around in the little creeks and everything. And it's just a really neat place to go and explore around the beach and not just be on the beach for your entire stay. So that's all I have. I'm going to turn it over to Anju for developing your hobby.
And we continue with the explanation material in session 2 that will be guided by Ripka. So for Ripka, time is yours.
Okay, everyone, we go to session 2 for material session. So today we talk about hobby, passion, and talent. So hobby is a desire that drives a person to focus on an object. About passion is a big urge that can create a great desire to do something. And talent, a natural skill that a person has from birth. So here is the sample of hobby and passion, dream and target, also the talent. So from this diagram, we know that hobby and passion, for example, like public speaking, dancing, learning language, and the talent is writing poetry, graphic design, managing meeting. And the dream are like what you want to dreaming in the future, and also the target, for example, is you want to be tutor online or offline, you want to be a content creator or translator. It's just for sample or contoh in Indonesia. So it's useful to you at first time to make this diagram to know about what is your interest, what is your dream, and what is your talent to develop yourself then. So the next is, before we go to the tips, we should know about what is the left brain and right brain. In Indonesia, we know that is otak kiri and otak kanan. So otak kanan ini lebih cenderung ke ingatan jangka panjang or long-term memory. And about the otak kiri or ingatan jangka pendek,
it is like a short-term memory. So the otak kiri or the left brain tendencies is language skill, numbers, analysis, logic, sequence, calculation, and detail. And then otak kanan or the right brain likes creativity, conceptual, and art or music, image, color, emotion, dimension, dream, imagination. So I think my difficulty is when my tendencies is to focus in the right brain. So I'm weak on the left brain. But it is better to us have a balanced brain, right and left brain. So like 50-50% for the left brain and right brain. So you can have a balanced mind or thinking. So bagaimana dengan kalian? Menurut kalian otak kiri atau otak kanan nih? Coba aku mau tahu di kolom komentar. So what about you all? Lebih cenderung yang mana? Left brain or right brain? Oh, otak kanan. How about others? Oh, kanan. So I think most of you have tendencies in right brain, same as me. So after that, after we know about what is our tendencies, left brain or right brain, we go to the next slide about tips how to identify and develop our hobby. So here is 5 key tips how to identify and improve it. Like gimana kita mengidentifikasi atau mengenali hobi kita atau sesuatu yang terpendam dalam diri kita. So the first step is thinking about what is your dream, target, and purpose of life. Kita harus memikirkan apa sih mimpi kita, what is our dream. Jadi ketika kita tahu apa cita-cita kita, kita bisa menentukan target. What is our target after we know about our dream? And it should support by what is your purpose of life. And then the second is trying to identify something you love or interested to do by make list. Or you can make a diagram like the previous diagram. So you make it detail about what is your hobby and passion. How about your talent and also dream and target, so detail. So you can thinking what is your step after this. And the third step is looking for experience. So you can looking as much as possible by survey, observation, and sharing. Kita bisa melakukan survei diri kita, misal kita bisa melakukan pengamatan melalui sharing kita with our friends, or just want to know about what is our friend hobby. And the fourth is challenge yourself and do it habitually until you find it enjoy. So it's very challenge if you want to try like doing something, make it habit. You can realize what is your interest, what is your hobby after this. And the important thing is focus on what you want to budget. Focus on, for example, if I want to be a content creator, I should focus on my ability in writing. So, in the last is develop yourself in young age. So I have a sample sharing about my experience. So my experience is start from junior high school. In the first of junior high school, I really confused about my hobby. I really confused about my talent. So I try to take a step it starts from curious about writing novel. So jadi aku penasaran untuk gimana sih cara menulis novel ketika di SMP itu. I try to make a story and imagination. Mau mencoba untuk menulis dan itu spend time until 7 years, 6-7 tahun. Dan itu berlanjut, it continued to senior high school. I learning about acting and theater. Actually, I don't have ability on it, but I try to preserve myself. Aku memaksa diriku untuk terjun meskipun awalnya malu atau I'm really shy to show myself. But I think by extracurricular, by challenge yourself like dance through challenge with senior class and make a collaboration with friends. So don't be afraid to like you challenge yourself. So after senior high school, I continued to graduate. After I graduated from my senior high school, I tried to build community. Like, however, I see impossibility, I see myself is insecure, and there is a lot of mistake I make, but I find that God's help is the solution. Rely on God and keep trying and learning is the process of our success. So, dari sharing ini, aku mau share 5 tips gimana cara mengembangkan diri kita di usia muda. Langkah pertama adalah konsisten. Have a consistent and strong determination for target. Kita harus konsisten and loyal to small things, setia dalam perkara kecil, dan nggak boleh gampang capek. Mungkin awalnya aku gampang capek atau easy to give up, but from the process we can try to rise again or bangkit terus. Dan kedua adalah be brave for doing good thing. Jadi berani untuk tidak takut terhadap tantangan, don't be afraid of challenge. And the next is don't be lazy to thinking about contribution. Semacam kontribusi yang mau kamu berikan ke orang lain, like thinking about your contribution. So then you can thinking about what is your step in the next. And the important thing is involving God on everything you plan or will do by prayer and effort. Jadi di samping kita berdoa, kita berusaha terus belajar dan terus mencoba hal-hal baru sesuai kemampuan kita juga. Dan terakhir is grow to be glow by self-evaluation, mengevaluasi diri kita, dan advice, nasihat-nasihat dari orang lain, and support. So there is tips about develop yourself in young age. So that's all from me. Maybe I would like to give up time to look and Anju. So maybe you have experience about how you find your hobby, how you find talent and passion.
For Luke, you may go to first.
I guess for me, it's just trying a whole bunch of different things. Like, I didn't know from a kid that I would be as big into running and jogging as I am now. Honestly, my dad just forced me to go out and run a 5K. And honestly, I hated it other than the crossing the finish line part. So I grew to enjoy the other stuff too, but just going out and finding stuff that you enjoy and continuing to do it on a regular basis. That's important too. It's just doing stuff on a regular basis. So.
Okay, how about Anju?
Okay, so I think the way I find my interest is to know what I'm good at and what I'm passionate about. That way, I will begin to understand what I want myself to be. The basic thing that is also very important for all of us before knowing what our interests, talents, and hobbies are is to know ourselves. Because of why? Because by knowing ourselves, we will come to know what we like, what our strengths are, and how we develop it into something that is more useful for us and also for others. That's all from me. Thank you.
Oke, nah pada game yang pertama ini, yaitu menebak sebuah gambar dari sebagian gambar yang terlihat. Cluesnya, salah satu dari 7 keajaiban di dunia. Yang kedua, merupakan candi terbesar di Indonesia. Pertanyaannya adalah, makanan khas asal daerah dari candi ini adalah?
Yuk raise hand dulu. You can raise hand at first before you answer. Oh, Lili Trisna. Oke.
Silakan Mbak. Jawabannya gudeg ya? Ya, benar sekali.
That's right. Yay. Okay, next.
Oke, next untuk operator. Yang kedua ini, instruksinya sama seperti nomor yang pertama. Menebak sebuah gambar dari sebagian gambar yang terlihat. Cluesnya, jenis tempat wisata bernuansa pantai. Yang kedua, tempatnya terkenal dengan banyak karang dan batu kapur. Yang ketiga, salah satu tempat wisata di Amerika. Oke, pertanyaannya adalah, tempat wisata apakah ini? Untuk kuis ini jawabannya hanya satu. Jadi pilihan. Oke? Ayo. Ada yang tahu? Iya, untuk Kak Sofia Adila, silahkan menjawab pertanyaannya.
Jawabannya yang
Sebelumnya kurang tepat ya Mbak. Boleh yang lain? Boleh ada pilihan yang lain? Ada yang mau raise hand lagi? Ada lagi?
yang C. Yes, that's right.
Yes, yang itu.
Oke.
Plusnya, terkenal dengan tempat wisata seperti curug, goa, dan sebagainya. Yang kedua, kota terkecil dari Jawa Barat. Yang ketiga, makanan khasnya yaitu nasi uduk ungu. Pertanyaannya adalah, kota apakah ini?
Lili.
Oke, silakan. Untuk Kak Lili. Sukabumi. Benar.
Yes. Oke, next.
Next, untuk kuis yang keempat, seperti nomor 3, peserta diminta untuk menebak nama kota berdasarkan emoji yang ditampilkan. Cluesnya, merupakan negara di Afrika Timur. Yang kedua, identik dengan film anak-anak atau komedi yang dirilis pada 27 Mei 2005, yaitu Petualangan 4 Hewan Bersahabat Alex, Marvin, Mayman, and Gloria. Pertanyaannya adalah, kota apakah ini?
Oh, Wika.
Halo?
Wika.
2. Madagaskar. Oke. Iya benar.
Yes.
That's right.
Just that. What is the title? Apa judulnya?
Gundul-gundul pocong.
Yes.
Iya benar.
Yes. So the game is finished.
For everyone who wanna ask something about looks material or about recast material, you can ask about anything. Bisa pakai bahasa Indonesia. Yuk.
Okay, here is the question from Lily Trisna. Excuse me, speaker and all committee. I would like to ask about how you deal with the difference of situation offline and online learning system on your school. Like how you be adapted with this situation after and before the pandemic.
About it, I guess. Here, we did a lot of this. So sitting on Zoom, I have a host family back in Jakarta that I was talking to, and I think they did something similar. I don't know what you all did, but we sat on Zoom a lot. It got to the point last year where everyone didn't really like Zoom anymore, and so we started going back to in-person classes with 6 to 8 feet of social distancing in each class. I go to a school where there's not many people in each class, which is really nice because we have big classrooms, but not as many people in each individual class, so you can spread out a little bit. So we ended up doing that at the beginning of last year, and it seemed to work quite a bit better. I know all of my teachers didn't really like using Zoom, and all of us students didn't like using Zoom. I live with a roommate upstairs, and we were both on Zoom at the same time, and it just didn't work very well. So the in-person classes, and when we transitioned to that, it was really nice. So.
Okay, finally, guys, what do you feel? I think there is a new expression. I believe we are intense but interesting, right? After that, before we close this event, we give time for Payne to give a review or like a message or impression for this event, or maybe you can give a motivational speech to us as young people about how we can develop hobbies, preserve culture, and learn from each other like this. Just do it in short. Time is yours.
I want to start off by thanking all of you all for coming out. I know this is the time out of your day, and I really appreciate you all coming. I really just wanted to say probably 2 minutes stuff on just like go out and explore. Indonesia is a beautiful country. I would love for you all to come here if you possibly could. There's just so much to explore in your country, in my country, in this entire world. That it's worth going out and taking the time to go do that. You saw all the places in the U.S. that have made an impact on me and on a lot of people. It's not just me, but there are places like that for anyone else. And some people, are city people and love spending time in the city, in Jakarta, in New York. There are some people that are really like me and like being out in the mountains or nature. So figure out who you are, what you want to do, and then go pursue that. Kind of like what Rika was saying with developing your hobby, it's going out and exploring and finding what you like and continuing to do it. And with that, developing your hobby is what I think is probably the most important thing you can do in your younger age, because that's something that's going to stick with you all the way through your life. So if you can develop that early on and figure out what you enjoy, and that doesn't have to stay the same your entire life, like it can change throughout, right now I may like running 5 years, I may like swimming more, just depends. So go out and find what you enjoy and do it. It'll keep you happier and healthier throughout your life.
So thank you for your short speech. Then thank you for the time. I especially for Payne, for sharing, and all participants who participate on this video. But I will give a short summary that it is important to us, especially as young people, to find out what is our hobby, what is our interest and talent, to prepare for a better future and be grateful for what God has given to us. Let's develop our interest, talent, and hobby, improving it, giving your dedication or something good you can give to everyone around us. Keep spirits and thank you.
Nah, akhirnya selesai juga ya. Mimin percaya Sobat TWB sudah belajar sesuatu. Kita sama-sama belajar tentang bagaimana sistem pendidikan dan pengetahuan budaya tentang beberapa tempat wisata di Amerika. Dan juga sekelumit sharing tentang hobi, bakat, dan minat. Jadi yuk belajar bersama untuk kembangkan hobi, lestarikan budaya negeri, dan juga belajar budaya negara lain untuk saling menghormati dan saling belajar, memperkaya pengetahuan tentang pertukaran budaya. Jadi, Mimin pamit dulu ya. Jumpa lagi di project TWB yang selanjutnya. Salam TWB.